And I don't know about for you, but on my screen, it's 7 o'clock. All right. Well, I guess it's time to begin. I want to welcome all of you. Um, we just never take it for granted that you will choose to be here with us. There's a lot of other things out there to take your time. And so we really appreciate your presence with us a lot. So thank you for coming. Billy already said that we're going to be recording this. I mentioned last time we had the Valentine event where we did the recording with Sue and Carolyn, and we have made some money. And I told you I would tell you about it. We actually brought in your loving offerings, accumulated to $1,632, and we divided that your offerings, your love offerings, between Hosanna House. That's a nonprofit organization that works out of Wilkinsburg, and they do a lot of good work with uh, underprivileged and people. So we felt that that was a really good place for it to go. And the other half went to the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank. So your money was, I think, um, uh, kind of sent on its way. So thank you. The other thing that I wanted to tell you, and some of you already know, you got an email this afternoon. There will be a workshop June 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's called The Great Act of Acceptance, the Essential Key to Transforming Our Lives. It's being done by Lorraine Marino. She's she has been our teacher. A number of us have had her for uh, all of our helpership, which is 3 years, and then our teacher training as well. So we know her, we love her. She's really a wonderful teacher, and she's kind of a helper's helper. So if and I will apologize right now. I may sound like a used car salesman, um, but if you are interested, you need to act quickly. It went up today at 4 o'clock or 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that. I think there are 6 or 7 people who have already responded. So we will only have 18 people. That's the maximum. So if you are interested, this is something you need to kind of get on. Don't put it off till next week, because by next week you may not have that opportunity. So I just put that out there in that way, and we'll leave that. Um, I think now we're going to take a little time just to be silent together. So I think everyone is already muted. Um, if you feel like it, you can get up and just kind of shake off the day if that feels good to you. Just kind of whatever you need to do to help yourself kind of relax, to leave the tension, the worries, the concerns of this day. And when you're ready, sit, and if it feels okay, close your eyes or kind of lower your gaze. Take a deep breath, a couple of deep cleansing breaths where the exhalation is much longer than the inhalation. And let go of tension and worries. They will be there at 9 o'clock if you care to pick them up. Spend some time connecting to your true self, and then maybe to those in this virtual room. And we'll spend a couple of minutes in silence. Thank you. We're going to, after hearing from you and the kind of a review we sent out, you agreed that you liked having the review of each previous lecture. So now we're going to do the review of lecture 138, The Human Predicament of Desire for and Fear of Closeness. And that's going to be done by Joanne Brickley. Most of you would know Joanne. She is a recent graduate of the helpership training. She is Billy's wife, Billy Wiles' wife. She's the mother of two amazing sons and has had several very successful careers. Many of you might not know that she has been an owner of a candy store and that she is now a personal trainer. She has a private studio in Squirrel Hill. But I think these days, Joanne keeps busy because of her love of teaching. So I'll give you over to Jo.
Thank you, Judy. I will forever be making up for those sins of all of that candy that I sold. So I invite you again to, if you want to, put your feet on the floor and breathe as deeply as you can in a relaxed way. Know, if you're willing to, that the earth is beneath you, holding you to it. Notice that the earth is holding all of us. See yourself in your mind's eye in nature, next to a waterfall, on the beach, on a mountain, in a valley. Breathe in fresh air and know that we all breathe the same air. Picture a loved one, a baby, a flower, an animal, whatever gives you delight in being here now on this planet. And allow yourself to connect with the all. This is the unitive state where all is one with life. And this state lives our deepest desire. And this state of consciousness, our deepest longing is to be close, connected. I will be silent just for a few seconds as you allow yourself to deepen this experience, allowing it to penetrate into your being. Now bring yourself to a moment where you experienced some hurt, some disappointment, perhaps an experience of feeling dismissed, rejected, misunderstood, not heard, not seen. Feel how your body responds to this experience. Notice the tension, perhaps shaking the guardedness. Notice how you shut the other out, now refusing the other, blaming the other. Feel what it feels like to close yourself off to your own heart, your very being, and to the other. This is the part of you that refuses life, that fears closeness. From this state of consciousness, the dualistic state, we separate ourselves from life, from others, and from our very selves. Take another breath and bring yourself back to this place and time. And remember that you are safe now. There is nothing to fear in this moment, not really. There is pain here, yes. And if you are willing to, you can bear this pain. In fact, you already have borne this pain. Using your healthy conscious ego, you can, if you want to, accept life as it is here on this imperfect planet. This great act of acceptance is the key to solving the human predicament of the desire for and the fear of closeness. Allow yourself to feel the presence of your higher self again, as you did earlier, holding you. See yourself as one in a long line of humanity. You are no better than anyone else, nor are you any worse. Allow yourself to go back and forth between the pain of life and your higher self. As you do so, you may begin to realize that we all are connected with the one. And we also all have pain. It is only in our childish misunderstanding of the all that we project this pain out into our lives. And with this misunderstanding, we believe that this is all we will ever have and who we actually are. We mistakenly made the choice to disconnect from life, from our divinity, from ourselves, from others, from our own being out of that mistake. It's a simple misunderstanding. It makes perfect sense to the child self. And now, in this separate state of consciousness, which we created, this misunderstanding keeps us from our best self and is quite destructive. We can, if we are willing to remember, as this lecture says so beautifully, that life and I are one. Breathe in and say out loud if you would like, or silently into your own being. Whatever I already am, I want to devote to life. When I withhold from life, I withhold from myself. When I withhold from others, I withhold from myself. Whatever I already am, I want it to flow into life. I request, I decide, and I desire that it be put to constructive use so as to enrich the atmosphere around me. And let it be so.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I know. Joe can teach us all a lot about the love of teaching. So, my homily this evening and at least next month is going to be on communication. I find it a subject that is quite up for me most days. So, in lecture 257, we are told that communication, just me talking to you, you talking to me, sharing ourselves with our partner, our husband, wife, sister, child, neighbor, whoever. We're told that this is a byproduct of a highly developed consciousness. But to me, the most important thing is that we're told essentially our ability to communicate successfully with others is directly related to our spiritual development. Now, I don't know about you, but that last statement really gives me pause that my ability to communicate with others is directly related to my spiritual development. Wow. Because I know how hard it is for me to communicate well. I know that for me just in my house, with my husband, with my conversations with family members, members of this community that I love and know and interact with frequently, for those who are out in the greater world. It is challenging to speak and be understood and know you're understood and not have confusion and not have misunderstandings and all of that. So there are a lot of things that can get in the way of good communication. And the guide says that at times, poor communication begins because we aren't clear inside ourselves. We aren't sure what we think. We aren't sure what we're feeling, which makes it doubly hard to try and communicate or make decisions. If we aren't sure exactly what we want, or maybe we're not even clear that what we want we deserve to have, makes it hard. Or maybe we focus on trying to figure out what the other person really wants if they're not clear. An example of that might be uh, all the different factors that go into deciding where to go for dinner with friends. How does everyone, what does everyone want? Are they communicating clearly what their true desire is? It can be kind of challenging at times, even that kind of decision. I don't know if you can um, kind of understand what I'm saying here. I hope so. And now that we're aging, there is the fact that some of us don't hear as well. And that provides yet another level of difficulty. My husband and I tell the story of how we had been out for dinner, and he heard me say that we had been talking about growing shrimp. And he said to me, "We have never talked about growing shrimp." I had said we were talking about grilling shrimp. So he also kind of tells the story on himself that he realized that he probably hadn't heard me, hadn't heard exactly what I was saying on the phone, because he figured I wasn't talking about aardvarks. So, you know, things can go awry and when you think everything is very clear. Communication can have a lot of pitfalls, and I'm going to give you some examples. Think about having dinner with a relative who holds very different religious or political beliefs than you. Tricky, huh? Tricky. Working with someone on the phone, trying to repair a piece of technology that you don't really understand at all. I think some of you may have gone through that. Um, think of repeating the same thing several times to someone who hasn't heard you clearly. Or maybe you're the one on the other end that hasn't heard. Think about someone doing an activity that you thought you had told them very clearly not to do. How do you respond? How do you respond in some of these situations? Or maybe you've just stopped interacting with someone because it's just too emotionally treacherous to get in there and try to communicate. So I'm just asking you, how do you size up in some of these situations? How would you evaluate yourself as a communicator? Take just a minute or just 30 seconds now uh, to reflect on those interactions that you have with people that might not always go smoothly. Might take a note or think of a person, or maybe several people come to mind that it's difficult to really challenging communication. This is what the guide says. He says, first, do your own work. We make a commitment to opening, to changing and being changed. We make a commitment to spending the time that is needed to learn what is really going on inside yourself. And we're told that within any interaction, internal or external, no matter how small that interaction is, that it's a reflection of the whole. And so that, and that's, I believe, is a, kind of a central tenet of Gestalt therapy as well. That idea that a little interaction is a great window into uh, how you really communicate and behave. I want to just give you a small, very mundane, really mundane interaction from my life as an example. And maybe you'll be able to relate to it. You can insert your friend, your good friend, or whoever, a family member that comes to mind. What is triggered in me when my husband seems to not be paying attention to me? He isn't really listening, and maybe hasn't clearly heard me yet again. So the question is, why do I then respond in a way that is short and annoyed instead of loving and kind, the way I'd like to be? And the guide says that when we react in those ways, I create emotional distance between the two of us. It could be a 30-second interaction, just a little tiny snippet out of the day. But I create emotional distance, and then it really creates self isolation. I move away, I choose not to connect. The ruler within me, when I do my own work, the ruler within me, and Deb Davis, if you were in Pathwork Principles, talked about child consciousness. The child consciousness that rises up in me, the ruler, expects to be understood immediately, to be paid attention to. I'm important, I'm busy, I must be paid attention to. And it's that kind of attitude. I need to get it all, and I need to get it exactly the way I want it when I want it. It's child consciousness. When I work through that piece, I am far more able to take the time to slow down, to do what is needed to make the connection with someone I love and cherish, and to maybe even find some humor in the interaction. Now, there's another piece that I want to put forth too. On an even deeper and more subtle level, we do this disconnection, this distancing, self isolation within ourselves. We tend to ignore our own emotional needs and treat ourselves harshly. I don't know if some of you know what that's like, to say mean things to yourself, have a mean attitude. For those who were there in Pathwork Principles, we talked about perfection. For those of us who are still striving for it, it sets us up for a lot of this. We can sometimes hold ourselves without mercy. And when we hold ourselves in this way, it becomes more difficult to meet others with love. It becomes even more difficult to communicate in ways that are connecting. So I invite you to take a look in this coming month. How is your communication going? How's it going within yourself? What are you saying to yourself? How's the communication going with those closest to you? Where could you improve? I'm going to return to this subject of communication next month, and we'll be asking you what you've learned. And just be curious. Um, there's just no need to be harsh or judgmental. Um, Maybe ask to be shown what some of these little snippets are in your life, because these are well worn paths of communication that we need to sometimes have help to see. So stay tuned on this subject. There will be more coming later, and I wish you well on your investigation. So thank you for listening. It is now my absolute pleasure to turn over our remaining time to Judy Kuchenmeister and Barbara Jean Negrand. They are both recent graduates of the teacher training program. And together, they have created both a lecture study group and a racial justice group. So they're busy ladies. Among many other things, Judy is a mother and a veterinarian. She is an original member of our board of directors and has been the person in charge of managing our finances. And as such, she's the chair of the Abundance Committee. This is her first time teaching a First Wednesday. And Barbara Jean is now an old hand at First Wednesdays. For many, many years, she helped Sue by doing various exercises in front of the room and would work behind the scenes with Sue. And last month, Barbara Jean taught her a lecture with Deb Davis. And Barbara Jean is also a founding member of the board and has a very successful psychology practice here, private practice. So, I'm turning it over to two really able teachers. And I will let them tell you what the lecture is that they're going to be teaching.
Thank you for that loving introduction. And last month, just a minor correction, last month, Barbara Jean and Julie taught together. So.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, I'm so sorry. You taught with Deb Rubenstein. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little musical chairs. So.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you for correcting me.
That's all right. On behalf of Barbara Jean and I, welcome everyone. Thank you for the gift of spending your time with us tonight. Let's all take a breath and look around on our screens and feel into our connections and the gratitude that we have for each other. Our intention for this time together is that everyone here experiences how we can open up to shining our light more by facing our destructiveness. Here's some information before we start our teaching. Questions. We welcome questions. They can help us be clearer in our teaching, and they're often questions that other people would also like to have answered. So if you feel moved to, please ask questions, and comment when we have space for that throughout our teaching tonight. And for some of us, we learn better by being silent. So honor your way of receiving. And we want everyone to know we won't be, while we're teaching, we won't be checking the chat. We will have our emails listed in the chat so that if you have any questions left over from tonight, you can contact us. Thank you, Laura, for putting our emails in the chat tonight. Tonight, Barbara Jean and I will be offering some written exercises, so please have your journal or paper or whatever you use ready. Now, 2 hours is a long time to sit and to stare at our screen, so please feel free to take a break and take care of yourself. And remember, to mute yourself unless you have comments or questions tonight. Thank you. Now, Barbara Jean will start our teaching of Pathwork Lecture 188, Affecting and Being Affected.
Thanks. Elaine, did you have a question? Okay.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. So raise your hand if you've had the experience of walking into a room and without anybody saying anything, you know that prior to your arrival, something upsetting or joyful happened. Has anyone experienced that? You walk in and you just know? Many people, thank you. Raise your hand if you've noticed that these circumstances affect you differently depending upon what's going on in your life and how you're feeling at the time. Have you noticed that? That it impacts you differently. Most of us, that's true. It looks like most of us have noticed the feeling tone in the room impacts us differently depending upon how we're feeling. I've certainly noticed that when I'm upset, walking into a room with a joyful atmosphere can annoy me. And when I'm happy, I can really enjoy it and take it in. Affecting and being affected has to do with this interplay of noticing ourselves in relationship. Human beings are physiologically hardwired to pick up the feeling tone and energy of each other. Neuroscientists have even named the part of our nervous system that monitors our sense of connection and safety as the social engagement system. This lecture describes that relationships provide clues to our finding, quote, our real existence and becoming wholly ourselves, end quote. The clues involve noticing how we affect and are affected by each other. Judy and I chose to notice how the lecture affected each of us and our friendship while preparing to co-teach. We committed to continually face our own destructive aspects while searching within ourselves and each other for our inner light and beauty. Both of us have had experiences of our true power, which has created a deepening of our friendship and mutuality. Honestly showing up has brought the best in each other to life. All of this took effort and a willingness to be vulnerably transparent with each other. We meditated, studied, wrote, processed with our helpers, and spent time working together. We also noticed and shared openly how we were impacting each other. We've been surprised by how creative, playful, and tender we have felt together while preparing to co-teach. really was surprising sometimes when we had no idea and something would just come as we were interacting. We'll be sharing a scenario that will illustrate this further later in the presentation. Having received these gifts from the lecture by working the lecture and letting the lecture work on us, we offer this teaching as a gift to you all. The lecture teaches us that we affect and are affected by others based on taking responsibility for our destructiveness in relationships, while not forgetting that we also have our inner divinity. Understanding that working with our destructive aspects unblocks our inner divinity is key within the Pathwork lectures. Pathwork teaches that our destructive aspects are a distortion of our inner divinity, not separate from them. In this presentation, we will explore how relationships help us identify our destructive aspects and how owning these destructive aspects liberate us to positively impact others, shining our light more fully. We shine our light more by owning our destructiveness. Now we're going to take a look at the outline specifically for tonight. Tonight, first we're going to identify the vicious circle in relationships. Next, we're going to work on creating the benign circle in relationships. And third, we're going to end with exploring positively affecting each other. So let's take a look at the vicious circle. The lecture describes the vicious circle in relationships. First, we fear and deny our destructiveness. Second, we feel guilty, so we try to hide our destructiveness. Third, we blame others for our misery and feel responsible for their suffering. And the fourth step of the vicious circle, we focus on others' actual or imaginary destructiveness, denying our own. Notice the arrows of the vicious circle and notice that they create a self-generating loop that maintains the illusion that our destructiveness is our true identity. Our destructive aspects are a distortion of our inner divinity, not separate from them. We get caught in the vicious circle when we identify with our destructiveness, leaving out an awareness of our inner divinity, thinking that that's all of who we are, and then denying that that exists. The vicious circle is fueled by the guilt we create by disowning our destructive aspects. A cornerstone of Pathwork is that we all have these two natures, our destructiveness and our inner divinity. When we face our destructiveness and ask for help, we open more to our inner divinity, letting our light shine through. An example for me is my destructive take charge, overgiving tendency. I overgive as a way to manage others while wanting intimate connections. Within my destructiveness of overgiving is the true expression of joy I experience, generously sharing with others. Genuine giving is an expression of my inner divinity that creates real intimacy. As I notice my pull to overgive, I become less controlled by its destructiveness. And I become more aware of the distinction between my overgiving and my joyful generosity. The lecture says that identifying a destructive aspect within us already begins to dissolve its impact, its effect on us and others. The lecture highlights that our destructiveness is less destructive than the guilt that we create by hiding this destructiveness. The lecture describes that this vicious circle is, quote, the root of all emotional sickness and suffering, including warfare and mutual destruction. The vicious circle keeps us fluctuating between the illusion that our sense of security depends on others behaving in certain ways or not behaving in certain ways, and our feeling responsible for others' well-being. The lecture says, quote, we are helpless in the face of others' wrongdoing, creating a sense of dependency and a false conclusion that others are victimized by our incompleteness, as if we are all powerful, end quote. Here's an example of the vicious circle in my life. I fear and deny that I'm bossy. I feel guilty about how directive I am and how I easily interrupt others, taking control over the conversation. So I try to hide this destructiveness. I blame others for their impatience and judgments. I focus on others' actual or imaginary disorganization, denying my destructive bossiness. This brings me right back to not wanting to feel pain, not wanting to feel the pain that my bossiness creates. So I push away my fear and I push away my loneliness, and I'm right off to the races. Mary Elliott, a helper from the Philadelphia region, describes a vicious circle as, quote, I'm doing the thing I want to avoid that creates what I want to avoid. I think that's a really good description of a vicious circle and how it just keeps that self-perpetuating loop. So I'm going to say it again. I keep doing the thing I want to avoid that keeps creating what I want to avoid. So I want to take a moment and just check in with you. How is this definition and understanding of the vicious circle sitting with you before we go on?
Right.
Peg?
Yeah, there's no doubt, Barb Jean. I do it all the time, you know. I'm not gonna do it, I'm not gonna do it, and I'm in it. And I don't even know I'm in it. But then something, you know, path work, I write, whatever, wakes me up to, you did it again, you know. So I keep exactly, the cycle continues until I break it, until, as you said, I recognize my own part in that.
Thanks, Peg. Yeah, one of the things I find is funny is that when I'm denying like my bossiness, I act as if none of you notice it either. That's certainly not been my experience. So we get into that sort of denial and we act out of it, but it's pretty common that everybody else sees it. Anyone else? Yes, Margaret.
So what comes to my mind is that the patterns are specific in specific relationships. You're not, I mean, maybe it's general, but I know I'm going to behave in a certain way because they're going to behave in a certain way.
Yes.
And then I think, well, why do I have to change? What, you know, right? And so if I'm going to change, am I going to get a reaction? So I'm anticipating the behavior from them to justify my own behavior. But I love what you said. I love like the idea of like, I can see myself behaving in a way that's, I don't want to behave like this, but it's hard to break it when it's so specific to another, you know what I'm saying? It's a dance. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a dance, and we're going to talk about that. tonight and hopefully offer some ways out if you want. Yeah, the lecture talks about how we keep this dependency going because we're saying our behavior is based on them. Why should we change? They should change, except it keeps us dependent. And we become less and less liberated. We become more and more stuck and less happy. And there is a way out that we're going to talk about next. So I hope, Margaret, that many times, the lecture talks about when we look at a specific relationship, we're going to see particular vicious circles, and probably overall there's an arching one. But it's always great to stay with the specifics because those are the clues about where your work is to actually become more liberated and to let your own inner divinity out more. So I hope that this evening you'll have some pieces of how to do that if you choose. Thanks, Margaret. So now we're going to look at the benign circle. As typical for Pathwork lectures, the lecture lays out a problem and then offers a solution. In this lecture, the problem is how we create vicious circles by denying our destructive aspects. The solution in this lecture is to own our destructive aspects by working the benign circle. In preparation to work with the benign circle, we're going to identify its 4 steps and provide an example of it. Then everyone will have an opportunity to work with the 4 steps of the benign circle in a relationship that you choose. The next slide is a lecture quote describing the way out, a way to intervene to break the vicious circle, self-perpetuating destructive loop. The way out is our taking responsibility for our destructive aspects as they are mirrored in our relationships. What invariably happens when you look for your own contribution to a negative interaction is that you begin to see how you both affect one another from your destructive levels. It enables you to see and express the other person's share in the mutual effect without becoming an accusing, self-victimizing judge. The way out of the vicious circle is to look for our own contribution in a negative interaction. As we discover and take responsibility for our part, we become able to see and express the other person's part effectively. So we shift our perception from our distorted beliefs to perceiving reality as it actually is. The process to shift our perception from our distorted beliefs to perceiving reality truthfully is the benign circle. We're going to take a look at the 4 steps of the benign circle. So again, it's 4 steps, but you'll notice there's a change here from the vicious circle. Step 1, recognize where you blame someone. Step 2, identify the other person's fault that affected you. Step 3, identify how you struggle with this fault. Step 4, see and express how you both affect one another from your destructive levels. Notice once again the arrows. The result of working the benign circle uncovers our light, letting our light shine more fully and connecting us to our inner divinity. The more we work the benign circle, the more we uncover our light, our inner divinity. Uh-oh. Sorry. Had trouble with my technology. In a few moments, you're going to have a chance to begin to unpack a situation where you're blaming someone from going through the steps of the benign circle. So you're all going to have a chance to do the benign circle in a few moments. Judy and I are going to share with you a scenario that we worked using the benign circle to illustrate the process. Judy will state the step, and then we'll share our responses. We had the gift and the challenge of working the steps of the benign circle to process our response to the same upset and vulnerably share our experiences. Most of the time, you won't be working together with a friend and going through these steps. It's wonderful when you can, and not at all necessary for change in the relationship to occur. Most of the time, we work the benign circle ourselves, having noticed that we're upset, wanting to blame someone, wanting to say that they're the reason that we're upset. The lecture describes the positive effect that we can have by taking responsibility for our part of the upset. Just like Margaret said, relationships are like a dance. We easily become used to particular rhythms and ways of interacting. If either dance partner changes their step, it affects the whole dance. As we gain clarity about our part of the dance, we not only know ourselves more accurately, we also become more aware of the other person's part and can communicate our experience of their part more effectively. This enables us to stand for ourselves and others successfully. Our individual relationships are supported by the work that we do within our Pathwork community. We are strengthened by our coming together to work with the lectures and through knowing that others are also walking their path. We have the opportunity to reach out to community members for support and encouragement when we want. This community is also a place to work the benign circle with each other, to take that risk and actually work it through with someone. Now, Judy and I are going to share our example of working the benign circle.
Barbara Jean and I want you to know that the clarity and simplicity of the scenario we will be sharing now are the result of our individual and collective work in meditating, journaling, and processing the steps of this benign circle over weeks. The steps have provided a very powerful tool in our friendship. The experience of working these steps has been messy at times, uncomfortable, but ultimately has helped us develop more satisfying ways of communicating with each other, and therefore has deepened our mutuality. As we work through the steps multiple times on this same upset, we were able to go deeper and were often surprised by the clarity and loving energy that emerged. As you listen to Barbara Jean and I go through the steps of the benign circle, notice how you're stirred by this experience. Here's our example. Step 1, recognize where you blame someone. I called Barbara Jean, offering her support, and she got mad at me.
Judy called me offering support and then made it all about her.
Step 2, identify the other person's fault that affected you. Barbara Jean was being controlling, demanding that I be different, be a better, more sensitive friend.
Judy was being self-centered.
Step 3, name how you struggle with this fault. I was being controlling, demanding that Barbara Jean be different, that she be a better, more sensitive friend.
I was really being self-centered. I was demanding that Judy support me exactly how I wanted to be supported, exactly the timing that I wanted.
Step 4, see and express how you both affect one another from your destructive levels. We did not have space for each other. Barbara Jean to be Barbara Jean and me to be me.
We were both defensively self-focused without appreciating each other's feelings or experience.
The gift of Barbara Jean and I working on the benign circle in our friendship together helped us realize that we were in the distorted reality that was discussed last month, me versus you. Within this dualistic attitude, this either or, life or death, we had to defensively hold on to our needs or the other would take over, and that felt like death. Literally, this distortion of reality was that one of us would die if we didn't get acknowledged exactly the way we demanded. At first, we didn't see the possibility of creating a solution to open to each other's needs. Once we were honest and owned our destructive aspects, we received the gift of bringing out the best in each other. Let me repeat that. Once we were honest and owned our own destructive aspects, we received the gift of bringing out the best in each other.
Hopefully the scenario that Judy and I shared helped illustrate the 4 steps of the benign circle in relationships clearly. Now here's your chance to begin to work with it. So please get out some paper and something to write with. Midway through working the benign circle, we're going to pause using a variation of lion's pose from yoga to physically release tension and help us move the energy created by our tight grip of destructiveness. Our hope is that this will support everyone to more honestly embrace the energy of your own destructiveness with the awareness that it is a distortion of your inner divinity, and to move that energy to be open to a new possibility of experiencing yourself. Remember, our inner divinity is a part of us, always available when sought. We just have to ask. Recall that Judy and I worked on the benign circle for weeks. We invite you to use this time to take your next step toward clarity by working with it and trusting your process. The lecture says that identifying our faults and destructive aspects will begin to dissolve them. Just by identifying and noticing it, it'll begin to dissolve its tight grip on you. Any awareness of our faults and destructive aspects already starts to help us work with them. So now I'd like you to bring to mind an interaction with someone that upset you. Step 1, recognize where you blame someone. Jot down a time you blame someone for your upset, for making you miserable. Step 2, identify the other person's fault that affected you. So begin to look at this upside and identify the person's fault that affected you. And if you'd like, here's a list of common faults. It's a partial list. You might have something that pops out to you that's not on here. Trust whatever comes to you. If you see multiple faults that are affecting you, you can write them down. Try to pick one to focus on for tonight. Okay. Now we're going to take a short pause. Again, we've done the part of the benign circle that actually has us focusing on our seeing the other person as the fault, seeing our blaming them. And so we really want to take a time to just have you feel into what that feels like physically and to begin to let that energy move through you by doing the lion's pose from yoga. So I'd like generally, when we release bodily tension and move our energy, our mind also relaxes and opens to new possibilities more easily. So I'd like to invite you to all make sure that you're muted. Just so you know, I'm going to make a sound on my exhale like a roar of a lion. I'm going to show you what we're going to do, then we're going to do it together 3 times. So we're going to take a fist with our hands, bring our hands to our shoulders, bring our shoulders to our ears, squish up our faces as we inhale, exhale, and roaring like a lion, letting our arms and hands go out. So once again, take a fist with your hands, bring your hands up to your shoulders up to your ears, purse your lips and your face, inhale, exhale, letting it all out. Great, we're gonna do that one more time. Make a fist with your hands, bring your hands up to your shoulders up to your ears. Inhale and exhale. Let it all out. And you can shake it out, letting yourself notice if anything has changed from you within you in doing this movement exercise. Thumbs up if anything, if you noticed anything changing, anything releasing of energy. Okay, thanks. That's true for some of you. If not, take a moment and notice what stayed the same. Be aware of where you are. That's the most important part. Pathwork consistently teaches the importance of feeling the impact of our experiences and the importance of moving stagnant, held energy, to be able to move that and let ourselves become aware of what else is also available to us. So now let's return to the benign circle. Step 3 sharpens our focus to understand the part we play in our upset. We're shifting our focus from the other person, beginning to look at ourselves. Step 3, name how you struggle with this fault. Read through your response for step 2 and consider how the fault you identified the other person having is active in your life. If you had a list of faults for step 2, simply pick one that stands out for you and jot down how you struggle with this same fault. Okay. Step 4, see and express how you both affect one another from your destructive levels. Ask for help from your inner divinity for your next step in noticing how you're both affecting each other. Take whatever comes to you. If you're not getting an answer, ask for that you recognize the answer when it comes and stay open to receive it. Any increase in awareness of your self-responsibility will lead to greater clarity of the other person's part and begin to dissolve your destructiveness. So take a moment and really see and write down how you both are affecting one another from your destructive levels. Does anybody need a little more time? Okay. So would like to know what stood out from you about working with the benign circle. Anything that stood out or any places where you'd like more clarity?
I found it helpful to number 3, how I struggle with this fault. I was in a situation recently where, with my partner, where I was just thinking how he always has to try to be in control and get his way. And I was hanging on as desperately to the outcome I wanted as he was.
Yeah,
I didn't really see that at the time.
it's great that you could see that tonight. Thank you for sharing, Patricia. Yeah. Joanne.
Well, I was really struck by number 3 because I didn't in any way think that I had any of the faults in number 2. So, and then there was one in particular. I mean, I really think I had like a huge insight there.
Wow.
There's one thing in particular that I really have to think about.
Hmm.
Yeah, 'cause
Wow.
my husband tends to I'm impulsive when there's something fun to do, and I'll say, let's do this now. And so he has to plan things out more. He's not like as ready to do something fun as I am. And I think that he's always trying to rain on my parade.
Hmm.
But I do that, I rain on my own parade.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
do that to myself a lot. So that was huge for me to see that.
That sounds really important. And you can see how that could really open up some new possibilities if you became less held by that fault, by that raining on your own parade, and gave yourself more space to express yourself.
Yes.
Oh, that's great, Joanne.
Do, and I projected onto him that he's doing it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
do.
great.
Yeah.
And part of this with the benign circle is he might also be doing it. It doesn't say that he's not doing it. It just says that's not where your power lies. He may be doing it too, but your power lies and your liberation lies in you owning and working your part. And you're changing your part of the dance step.
Yeah, because it really doesn't matter if he's doing it. It doesn't have to affect me. It's that I do it. That's what affects me. So
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. That was great.
Oh, I'm so glad. And the other piece of it is the more we gain clarity about how we are doing it, the more we can, in an honest, non-accusing and non-blaming way, talk to the other person about how we are impacted by their behavior.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it allows for a different kind of conversation.
Absolutely. Like a sane conversation instead of this crazed lion.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much. I'm really heartened by those shares. Judy, let's go now to explore how we positively affect each other.
So we're going to spend the rest of our time together this evening looking at how we positively affect each other. First, I'm going to do a personal share about a well-known person, and then we're going to show a video of famous people that we hope inspires you. Next, Barbara Jean will share about being affected by a person in our own community here in Pittsburgh Pathwork. And lastly, we'll be doing a journaling and sharing exercise about positively affecting each other in our everyday lives. So first, my personal share. This is a picture of Maya Angelou, who was an American poet, writer, and civil rights activist. Here's a quote from her about affecting others. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. As many of you know, Barbara Jean and I are best friends, brought closer as with our work creating this teaching tonight. Before we became friends, about 20 years ago, Barbara Jean and I each got dressed up and attended a fancy benefit in person, not virtually, where the featured speaker was Maya Angelou. Years later, we realized we had both been at this benefit and heard her speak. We do not remember exactly what she said. What we do both remember is how we felt. Her presence filled us with joy and peace. She was inspiring. This lecture points out how we can affect others from our positive, purified inner divinity. Barbara Jean and I were affected by Maya Angelou in this way. We felt her activate the best in us. In truth and loving, we felt her calling us to bring our best to life. Now we will share a video of various inspiring people. Pay attention and see which ones you connect to or how they affect you. During this video, please change the volume to your liking.
Yes, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. May we know that together. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All in my room, I'm gonna let it shine. All in my room, I'm gonna let it shine. All in my room,
the next slide, Barbara Jean.
Oh, I forgot. I was so caught up with the song. Sorry.
This Little Light of Mine was sung by Odetta, pictured here, who was often referred to as the voice of the civil rights movement. We want to send a big thank you to Billy for his assistance with the video. Thank you, Billy. So how are you guys feeling from watching the video and hearing the song? Who would like to share their response? Please raise and wave your hand so that we can catch you.
Peggy has a hand raised.
Oh, Peggy?
Hi, I love music. It's a strong link with me. So it was wonderful just hearing them sing the song. I was humming along with it. Good spirit raiser and reminder.
Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it, Peggy.
Oh, it was delightful.
Thank you. Susan?
Well, I had quite a surprise when the Dalai Lama came on, and when I read the word survival, I got scared. I got scared at what the Dalai Lama said. I would have never, ever thought that.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, it's important to pay attention to however, it impacts us, because sometimes that, like we're talking about tonight, we can learn more about what's in us that's reacting, Yeah. Yeah, and oftentimes we get surprises, like Joanne said, when she made her, felt that impact of seeing what she does for herself. So it's good to pay attention to whatever comes up, be there with it all.
You're at, Anda.
Kiera? Thanks.
Yeah, I love this piece because I don't think of it quite often, but I loved how it switches instead of what's happening to us and how we feel about what's happening to us. Oh, I heard, this completely may switch the focus of how can I positively affect so no one ever forgets how I made them feel. Like, I just love that. And all the people you showed, it switches. So it's not about me, it's about what I have to give.
Right.
So I love that piece. Thank you for that tonight.
Oh, you're so welcome, Kiera.
And what this lecture really talks about is the more we face our own destructiveness, the more we positively affect others and bring out the best in them, the less we are pulling them into the destructiveness. So it's really a powerful way of being able to really allow our lights to shine. It helps other people shine more brightly as well.
Right. We can feel that impact of other people drawing us to our best self. Thank you. Now we're going to look at our everyday lives where we shine for each other. Now, Barbara Jean will share about someone in our community who shined for us.
This is a picture of Carolyn Tylove, who is a Pathwork helper currently living in Pittsburgh. She joined Pathwork in 1975 and was privileged to be present when Eva channeled the lectures. She founded the Philadelphia Pathwork region and has been instrumental in the development of our region here in Pittsburgh. After Judy and I became best friends, we went together, dressed in casual clothes this time, and still in person, to our first ever Pathwork event at Friends Meeting House, where the featured speaker was Carolyn Tylove. Some of you might also remember attending this inspired event. Again, we don't remember exactly what Carolyn said, But what we do both remember are the gentle tears flowing down our faces as we felt Spirit coming through Carolyn and speaking directly to our hearts. In truth and loving, we felt Carolyn calling us, calling the best of us to life. We felt Spirit calling us to this path.
That's what started Barbara Jean and I on this path of transformation. We know that as we transform the world. As I read this next quote, notice how it affects you. The more you honestly acknowledge your destructive part and stop hiding behind the ills of others, the more you will strengthen your whole being and enable your inner divinity to manifest. Thus, you will help others to know that their negative aspects are not their whole reality and to experience their inner divinity. Kiara we touched on that a bit when Kiara was sharing earlier. So Maya Angelou and Carolyn Tylove are examples of two people who helped Barbara Jean and I realize that our destructiveness was only a part of us. They both helped us experience our inner divinity. We felt them bring out the best in us. They shined for us and called us to shine. The more we own our destructive aspects, the more our lights shine. The more we shine our light, the more we invite others to shine. Now let's look for your personal examples. So please get your paper or journal out and ready to journal, because we're going to have a journaling and sharing exercise. And after we're done writing, we're going to be sending everyone into triads to share with each other. So first, call to mind someone whose presence brings out the best in you. Someone who either in the past or currently has helped you relax and trust yourself and your capabilities. Someone who positively affected you. Could be a friend, a teacher, a sponsor, a relative, a mentor. Take a moment and journal about your being affected. Now call to mind someone who you brought out the best in them. Someone you helped to trust in themselves and their capabilities. Someone you positively have affected. Might be a coworker, a friend, a sponsee, a neighbor. If no one is coming to mind, be gentle with yourself and ask your inner divinity for help. Ask your inner divinity to show you who you've affected and trust that help will come. Write down whatever comes for you. Everybody got something? Okay, all right. Now we're going to go into breakout rooms with 2 other people. So there'll be total of 3 of you to share. And you can share on either what you wrote about or just this experience of thinking of somebody, having trouble thinking of somebody, and how this exercise affected you. So we invite you to take this opportunity to share with others in the community. You're going to have 7 minutes in your triad. Please share the time. As always, whenever we put you into breakout rooms, you can opt out by leaving the breakout room and coming back here. Be careful not to leave the meeting completely, but if you do, just rejoin us using the same link. Okay, Billy. So we would love to hear from 1 or 2 people who want to share their experience. So please raise your hand so we can catch you. Either your experience of writing or your experience of sharing, what came up for you.
Debbie.
Debbie.
Have your hand up. And Angela.
Well, I was with 2 delightful people. Joanne and Gaga and Helene. And for me, it's always great to, I like sharing, but it's great to hear other people's shares because they're always so unique. And it's just a real good experience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a blessing when we share. It really is. It brings something in for us from the other person. It's there's that connection that we develop. Angela?
Yes, I found it to be very positive, and it's different from what I've been working on in the past. Because everything's always so, you're really introspective and working on all the hard stuff. So it was really nice to, have something positive and be with positive people and smile and laugh and enjoy the moment.
Great. That's great. We wanted to give you the experience because it is work. Our last slide is going to say a bit about that, but there's so many blessings that come from it. And when we really pay attention and acknowledge them. Thank you. Michelle?
Hi, I'm a newbie and therefore very shy in this big group, but I had the pleasure of just being 2 of us. And I think she signed off, but it was just nice using some of the concepts and feeling more comfortable talking and sharing some of the ideas.
Thank you. Thank you for your bravery, Michelle. Susan, did you want to share? No? Okay.
Susan?
I can share.
Okay, Mary Jane.
So I entered my breakout room and immediately panicked because I was the only one in it. And I thought, oh, great. Now what am I going to do? Do I have to text Bill? Or am I supposed to just be here by myself? Luckily, Bonnie showed up. So I was happy to meet Bonnie and share with Bonnie. And although our shares were a little bit different, they were very similar. And so I want to thank you for this. Not only was it positive to kind of, write down feeling good about someone, making someone else feel good, but then to do that with another path worker added a whole another layer to that. So thanks, it was great.
Great, I'm glad you had a good time with Bonnie.
I did.
It's great to make these connections. I'm more of an introvert, so at times I'm like, I don't want to. And yet every time I do, I feel so good about it. So I'm shifting over time. When I first started path work, I didn't want to make eye contact with anybody. So it does help. Susan?
I too had just a lovely experience. I was with Josh and Patty, and none of us had met each other before. But you know, within 7 minutes, I think we all felt that there was kind of a budding friendship. We listened to each other and enjoyed what each other said, and it just felt good.
Great. Great. I'm so glad that you guys had some good experiences about your own affecting and affecting others and affecting others in the group too. All right. Thank you everybody for sharing. So we're going to end our teaching with this quote, this promise from the lecture for those of us on the path. The path is so taxing because it leaves no room for projection and escape. You will find your real values only when you muster the courage to find your destructive, distorted aspects. Then you will find your true capacity to love and be loved. We, all of us here, have courageously started on this path of not blaming others and owning our destructive aspects tonight, if even just a little bit shifted for you. We are blessed to have the support and encouragement of this community as we walk this path together. We will end with this blessing from the quote we just shared. May we all open our hearts and find our true capacity to love and be loved. Amen. Let it be so.
Let it be so. So if anyone has questions, we're happy to answer them from the evening. And we're so glad that all of you came and shared this time with us.
Great job, guys. A lot of applauses.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Very nice.
It was, thank you so much. This is literally heavenly.
Oh, thank you, Peggy. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Let
you
me
did
just
a
say-
wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you.
Thanks, Patricia.
Patty.
Exactly. You gave us a gift today.
Thank you.
Let me just say before everyone jumps off that there are now 9 people registered for the workshop in June. So it's half full, just FYI.
Is that going to be a virtual workshop?
Yes, Zoom, over Zoom.
Yes.
Good question. Yes.
Yeah.
And Lorraine is extremely good with Zoom and making Zoom as palatable as can be.
Absolutely.
We all have a lot of experience.
Yeah.
We've been getting Zoomed by her for a year.
Yeah. Yeah, she has
I
really
think that-
learned. She has learned a lot about how to manage that in a way. I mean, you know, it's still Zoom, but she's pretty good at it. So
yeah,
you can.
That is just beautiful.
This is Veronique. I have a request. Can you send the invitation for that workshop out again? For that workshop that you're talking about?
I'll send it to you, Veronique. I have it right on my phone. I'll send it.
Yeah, it
Okay,
was
thank you.
Veronique. It was sent out today about 4:30. So
It was that recent.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I
It
was
was
going to
just
say.
sent- it was
Oh,
sent
I did
today.
not look. I did not look at
Yeah.
my email since 4. So.
Yeah, we planned it that way so that.
Oh well, then you don't have to send it. I'll see it in that case.
Too late.
And if not, yeah, you can just go
It's
to our
okay.
website, our beautiful, wonderful website.
Is there a fee for this workshop?
Yes, ma'am.
It's $235 and we give scholarships. So you would need to, you know, ask for some assistance. and we're happy to do that.
Okay, thank you and goodbye.
Thanks, Veronique. Have a great night.
Good night.
Good night.
Great job. Perfect amount of information. I feel like I could really like take it in and really helpful. Really.
Thanks
It is
Thank you,
comforting.
Alicia.
Thank you so much,
It was
guys.
beautiful.
Did a
from-
great
from the-
job.
From the
Thank you,
pre-presentation to the end.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful,
Mm.
Judy, Barbara Jean. Thank you so much. You rock.
Thank you, Deb. Great job for you too at
Yes, you did a great job.
Wonderful.
Very clear.
Thank you.
Good job.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thanks
you
so much,
so
you
much.
guys. Great job. Loved it.
Great job.
Yes, indeed. Thank you
Fabulous.
all.
Bye.
Good night,
Hey,
everybody.
Peg.
Good night.
Everybody.
Good night. Good night, Darla.
If nothing else, I will absolutely remember the Maya Angelou quote.
Yeah.
For that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
probably remember a lot of other things, but that really stuck out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It is. It's so true when you think about it. Yeah.
It was great, just as expected, you guys. Well done, very
Thank
well.
you for your help, Joanne.
Thank you very much for your support.
Oh, absolutely. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Positively affected. Thank
The
you
other
so
question I
much.
have
Thanks,
is,
Joanne.
are there any tentative considerations of when it might be I realize it would be tentative, but of getting back live?
That, I mean, it's always something that we really would like, and yet we need to continue to monitor cases and, you know, the
Yeah.
timeline. I mean, things have obviously, you know, better with the vaccines, but the numbers are going up. So it's just another thing that we don't know, and we just have to be in the moment with whatever we've got. And right now we're doing Zoom.
I'm
So
sure that's true. Yeah. Well, thank you for tonight. So.
you're welcome.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for coming.
Good night.
Yeah, thank you. Good night.
Night.
Thanks
Billy?
so much.
Billy, now you said I need to leave this up a bit.
When you exit Zoom, when you like leave the meeting, it will say, I'm zooming your thing up. And you
Okay.
just leave that little window that says I'm zooming your thing up.
Oh, okay.
Because
All
it
right.
takes a while, because it's a big package or whatever the
Yeah.
technical terms are.
Right. Well, I have recorded before, but I just I didn't do it, you know.
Kira, you have a question?
No, I just
Back mine over
wanted to say thank you because I really like the work that you gave us to do in this, not just teaching it to us, but just the work. And it really helped with some relationships. And so just thank you. It's like, it's full circle. So I just wanted to really say thank you for how it just helped me process through.
Great.
Oh, thanks for
It
letting
really
us know,
means a
Kira.
lot. It really
Yeah.
does.
It was really, I mean, just thank you. So good night. I'll see you guys.
Oh, thanks for
thank
bringing
you,
yourself
Kira.
to the work.
Yes.
Thank you, Kira.
Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
Miss you guys. See ya.
Yes.
Miss you too. Bye-bye.
Night.
Good night. All right.
All
Billy.
right.
Billy? Hey, Billy. Hi.
Yeah. What?
I have 8. I don't know where you have 9, but Laura's been having to forward me the registrants because I'm not getting them directly.
Oh, you're not? I can add you to the list.
She's been forward them to me, but I only have 8 in my list, and I'm not counting me. Hi, Judy.
No, I'm saying good night.
Bye. Good night, Judy.
Judy,
It's
tomorrow,
okay.
are you going to send the link for our meeting or do you want me to?
I'll send it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, what meeting? We're
Sunday.
meeting tomorrow?
I know.
Haven't we met enough?
last one-
I'm
the
sorry
last
that I
one-
skipped the quote and I could have done the quote. We had time. Sorry.
It
the
was
last one-
getting, close.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Billy.
I
We'll
was
leave.
to say to Julie that the last one was Peg. She's the
Yes.
ninth.
I have Peg, Helene, Barb, Weiner, Judy,
Yes.
Barb, Jean, Kathy McAllister, Susan, Sailor, Joanne Benedetto, and that's 8.
And Margaret Manjez.
Oh,
I don't
great.
have Margaret. I don't have Margaret.
Oh, I am wrong. This is, oh, no, wait, hold on.
Now, there
I
were
think
some
it is
emails.
her- You know what?
Just
That's her confirmation. No, not Margaret. It's 8.
Okay.
I lied.
Okay, good.
But that is a lot for the first 5 hours.
Oh, and Josh just registered.
Yes. Yes. We got another one.
So Judy, first of all, both of you beautifully done. I got a whole lot more out of it, even after sitting through the run through. Just Judy, real quick. So I'm going to start sending letters out to the people that are registered, sort of like what I did with Brian, reminding them that they need to have their money in before they're, so we can hold their place. I don't have a lot to tell them yet, and then I'll be contacting Lorraine. But is that okay to just remind them that they're going to need to pay their money? Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Then Billy normally sets up a Google Doc and
right.
puts
And
that in, and then as soon as I put in the
Oh, yeah, I gotta
information,
do that.
as soon as I get the checks or we get PayPal'd.
Oh, okay. Laura just sent me Josh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. And I'm not going to participate this time. I'm just going to be point person. So because I'm sure it's going to fill up. Whoops. Okay, great. Thanks very much. See you guys later. See you Sunday.
Thank you very much. All right, good night. Thanks very much, Billy.
Bye,
You're
Bill.
welcome. Great job, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
I guess she ditched us.
Bye, dear. Great job.
Good night. Thank you. Love you.